we have two monster-sized topics to get into. And of course, one of them is about some games from the Activision library finally and potentially coming into Xbox Game Pass. And some of those games are freaking pretty big because what we have, and again, this is a shot, multiple people have reported on it, but I do want to give credit where credit is due because Hazardor Gaming did in fact post this first. And what's interesting is if you go to the Steam DB account for these games, you're going to see that the update, you could look and find out the update history. All of these games were just updated. And if they're updated on Steam, it's more than likely meaning that they are potentially getting ready to get dropped. Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, Deadpool, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, and both Transformers just to start. What are your thoughts on this? Yeah, I think getting these games, especially something like, let's see, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, I don't know how many people skipped on it. Beanox made this game. They made three games, two of which were phenomenal. This is one of them. This is the Spider-Verse before there was even a Spider-Verse. And it played well. It looked great. And the one thing about Xbox games that go backwards compatibility or through backwards compatibility, they get HDR boost. They get FPS boost. They get all of these extras that weren't there originally, making the game sometimes look freaking brand new. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people who didn't really play a lot of those things. I really wasn't into superhero games back when these games were coming out. So it's gonna be fun to go in. I mean, obviously, look, Xbox owns them, right? So it's always just been a matter of time, right? And we kind of see the way they're handling it. You know, they're doling them out, making them more like little events when they do it instead of just being like, hey, here's the whole catalog, right? So yeah,
70 games and you just skip out on most of them because it's just too much to intake. Yeah.
Exactly. So they're doling it out in a way where things can get appreciated, things kind of get their time to shine. I mean, if it's going to be very interesting to have Spider-Man, you know, on the box again.
Yeah,
for sure. You know, I think there is a Spider-Man, like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 or something.
It's
that's already
terrible. It's awful.
Yeah. But I think we already have technically we have a Spider-Man on the box. It's not great, but yeah, I mean it's exciting to start seeing these games come over because as these dominoes fall and we get these, then it's just lining up the next bunch. And there's still so many. And I think we've talked about in the past, like my most like anticipated backwards compatible release is going to be, you know, Prototype. You know, I really want,
yes, dude.
Yep. I really want Prototype to come in. So I'm very excited for that. So this just gets me kind of one step closer. I do remember though, Shattered Space was a big deal. People were very excited about it. They thought it was a very good game.
You should mean Shattered Dimensions. Yeah.
Shattered Dimensions. Yeah. Shattered Space is a very good game. Shattered Dimensions for sure.
No, because you got a chance to use 4 different Spider-Man from 4 different eras. And one of them,
like the noir one, right?
That's the one that was the most unique. Yes. Yeah, it's and by the way, if you didn't know, perfect timing because Amazon is doing a Spider-Man noir with Nicolas Cage. They're doing a live action.
Wow,
dude,
really?
Yeah, dude. They're doing that right now. I don't know. A couple of weeks ago, they showed him like in his costume on top of a car. It looks dope, dude. And so. I mean, again, perfect timing. But what's interesting here is it's not just games that are being taken out of a catalog and copy and pasted. I really kind of want to drive that point home because one of the things that Xbox does not get a lot of credit for, is, but you know, forget that they offer a ridiculous amount of value through Xbox Game Pass. It's not even just that; it's offering a game that was, you know, delisted or made for specifically to be played through backwards compatibility. And when they do this, it's not just a copy and paste situation where, like, look, this is not taking a shot at Sony, but when you have their service, you have access to PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 3 games via the cloud. And I think that is brilliant, right? It's great if you are someone who appreciates something like Twisted Metal 2. Twisted Metal 2 and Twisted Metal Black are my two favorites in the series.
Twisted Metal Black was wild.
But the problem with those releases, see, is that they're just what they were on the PlayStation 2. That's
Of course,
it. And on the
it's a huge
PlayStation 3.
difference.
The difference
Yeah,
here,
that's a huge difference.
the
Sure.
difference here, see, is that when a game is made for backwards compatibility via the Series X or S, and you play the game, you are, for the price of free, getting an upgraded version, sometimes having things in it like auto HDR that weren't there before, auto HDR, FPS boost, things of that nature. And what sometimes it does is it makes the game look like you've never seen it before, and you're getting it for nothing. That is what one of the big things that Xbox does that really people don't talk about. And I think that these games are all of these games that I just listed, Deadpool, both Transformers, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, these aren't just releases. These are tip of spear, pinnacle releases during the Xbox 360, and some of the biggest fan favorite games that people have been asking to come back. And based on this, rumor, it looks like it's going to be happening soon. I think it's a really big deal.
Yeah, I mean, and also just to clarify, this is not they don't have to do anything, right? So it doesn't have to get made for backwards compatibility. It's just literally once you say, hey, the game's back, like we're gonna bring it, it's automatically happens through the Xbox platform, which is amazing. So this is a no, like the developers don't get involved. Xbox just has to do the testing, make sure it doesn't break anything to include, the FPS boost, because we know some games, very small amount, but some games couldn't get FPS boosted because the game were designed such a way that by enhancing it, it threw off, the dialogue or threw off certain things and the games wouldn't work 100%. So they don't want any of that stuff happening. So some games avoid that, but you always get something automatically. So either the HDR boost, the updated, higher resolution, all that fun stuff. So it's very different, right? Xbox does it for its fan base, for its core gamers who have libraries from the past that want to be able to bring it forward. This is not a, hey guys, by the way, you can go ahead and buy the game. That's the only way you're going to play this this old game. It's no, if you already own that game's been sitting on your shelf for 10 years. And now it's available as a backwards compatible game on Xbox. You take the game, you put it in your disk drive, and there you go, right?
Yeah.
It works, right? It downloads what it needs to download, and you're good to go. And that's just a fundamental difference, right? This is one of the core reasons why I will always prefer, Microsoft, because they're so consumer focused, right? Like that's why I prefer the Xbox. They always put us first, as much as people want to talk nonsense about it, right? The fact that they invested all this money in getting the studios and the publishers and all this stuff for Game Pass, like again, it's a win-win, right? They get it because they're going to draw more eyes to them. They're going to make more money because more people are going to want to be invested in Game Pass and in the ecosystem. And as people in the ecosystem, we're getting all the benefits of getting these games for free, right? So it's a phenomenal thing that they do. And it is exciting to be able to play some of these older games looking better than they ever had, or playing better than they ever have. These are huge wins. It's just going to be a matter of, when, right? When are these things going to drop? Are we going to get an announcement at the Game Awards? Are we going to get an announcement at the Developer Direct, right? It was one of the two places. They either want to drop it at the Game Awards and say, hey, look at what we're bringing, or just drop it at the Developer Direct. Like, look, aside from all these games that we're talking about, here's a new load of Game Pass games we're bringing from our back and pad team, right? I'm really excited to see when all this drops. It's gonna be good. It's a great thing.
Well, there are a couple of caveats here. that I kind of want to just before we move on to the next topic, because I think
Yeah.
the next topic really is a segue from the first opening salvo. There are a couple of things here. You made mention of it. They're not making you buy these games. Now, if you want to buy the games, I'm sure that they'll be more than happy to sell them to you. But if you have Xbox Game Pass, once these games are dropped in there, it's simply a matter of downloading them to your hard drive and you're going. Because they're older games, they don't have to be on the hard drive. It could be a standard, 2 or 3 terabyte that you have just plugged in via USB because they're older games. They don't have to be on the hard drive or on the memory card that you have plugged into the back. Like I have a 2 terabyte in the back, as well as the now 2 terabyte Xbox. So I have plenty of room, but I could save it to the 5 terabyte that I have plugged in as well for older stuff, right? I think that's really big. But there's again, see.
No, I said, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and again, that's a really big deal. But there is some underlying conversation that makes you wonder. These are licensed IPs. Licensed IPs is something that Phil, not a big fan of doing newer stuff. We talked about it. Now they're working on with 2. They're working on Disney and Marvel. They have Blade. They obviously Indiana Jones at the end of the year. But what this ultimately tells me is that there is a freaking strong relationship with Disney and Marvel because all of these games are licensed IPs. Marvel Ultimate Alliance packed with characters, X-Men, everybody. If what is coming to fruition and getting these games via backwards compatibility, that's a really big deal. But it also sends a message that
It is.
they are working close together because Deadpool, I don't know, just had they broke almost $1.5 billion with Deadpool and Wolverine. This game is going to be popular. Now, I don't know if anyone played it. I beat it. It was phenomenal. It was great. Great writing, phenomenal graphics. And now you're going to get all the boosts for free. That's also a big deal. But I like the idea that they're working together, see.
Well, we do know. I mean, he just talked about it, right? He just talked about how kind of like a pain in the ass it is to actually put these games in Game Pass, right? He talked about it with Indiana Jones. Now, obviously, when you kind of put everything together, right? Obviously, there's a bunch of work that they did to make sure that Indy can get in there and what that means, right? But that's also work that it's clear it's a foundational work, not just hey, here's Indy, so this is the deal we have. I think that this is a more of like an all-encompassing, like, okay, Disney, when we bring our games in the Game Pass, we have this one. We're gonna have Blade coming in, and yeah, we have backwards compatible games that we want to bring back, right? We have IP that we want to bring back and take advantage of. Let's work out this package deal, right?
Yes.
Which is most likely what happened, right? Because it's just all coincidental that we're hearing how much of a pain in the butt it was to get Indy into Game Pass and the way that deal works, right? Similar to racing games. Now we got Blade coming. We know that's in the future. And now all of a sudden we're getting this, hey, guess what? These games just magically got rated or they're kind of being circulated again. It's like, all right, so now it's clear they did what they had to do, right? They figured it out. And obviously one of the concerns that we have with Game Pass is, I wouldn't say a concern, but one of the, I would say, luxuries that we have is that Microsoft doesn't take out their first party games, right? So when a first party game goes in, it doesn't come out. But there are caveats to that, and it revolves around licensing, right? So racing games are the biggest ones, right? Forza Horizon is a big one where the game, after a certain amount of time, they don't renew those licenses because they already got the newer game out with new licenses or whatever they have there. So they have to take those games out and they're gone, right? So the question is, and I'm sure they have figured it out, but are we going to be in a position where these games are going to come in for a certain amount of time and take them out? I don't think so, right? But that obviously is going to require something more than just a standard, relationship with an IP owner, right? So they're going to want to make sure that whatever they do with Disney, they're going to be able to keep these games in Game Pass for the foreseeable future, right? So I'm interested to see if there's any weird things like that come from it. Like, are these going to be games that come in and come out after a while because of the licenses? Like, are they just taking advantage of a certain time period that they want to market something? Um, I'm definitely interested to see how that works out. But ultimately, it's clear they have come up with a solution to be able to bring back these games and go ahead and get them in Game Pass, which is the beauty for us, man. Like that's the way that it benefits us the most, right?